Hey, welcome to the next episode of Twin Tiers Keto. Today I'm answering a couple questions. First question came from Mark. He was asking about a hormone called leptin. But to really talk about that is to really talk about the whole idea of hunger. There are three different hormones involved when you talk about hunger. Ghrelin is the hormone that signals your brain to say you're hungry. Leptin, on the other hand, is a hormone that signals the brain to say that you're not hungry. So as you get hungry, the levels of ghrelin rise and you feel hunger and you want to eat. Then as you eat, the levels of ghrelin come down and the levels of leptin come up. And that signals to let you know that you're not hungry anymore. You're full. The problem with these hormones is a similar problem with insulin, which is the third hormone in this group. Insulin is like a master regulatory hormone for all of these. But just like you can have insulin resistance, your body can become resistant to ghrelin and it can become resistant to leptin. So what happens is you're not able to truly know when you're hungry and when you're not, because the signals to your brain aren't working properly. One of the benefits of keto and being in a low carb state is that with insulin low, the rest of your hormones begin to regulate. And you start to then actually truly experience hunger when you're hungry, and you more dramatically experience a lack of hunger. I've seen that a lot in my case, where it'll be lunchtime and I'm like, I'm not really hungry. Do I eat or don't I eat? That part is up to you and what your goals are. I'm not trying to lose weight anymore. So I'm not trying to limit my calories or anything like that. I just want to remain healthy. But to remain healthy, I still need to eat a certain number of calories. A certain percentage should come from fat, a certain percentage should come from protein. So I'm not worried about that as long as I get that in. And that's where this idea of intermittent fasting comes in, really. It's not so much as something that people force themselves to do. A lot of times, once they become in this fat adapted state and they're just not hungry, there's no reason to eat. I mean, even on somebody with 4% body fat, which is extremely lean, still has about 5 days worth of energy stored in their body. There's never any need for them to have to eat for energy. Protein, yes, is good to help with the muscle. But even then, your body, when it's producing ketones from using fat for fuel, those ketones are muscle sparing. If your body needs amino acids to repair itself and stuff, it'll recover other lean tissue to use and recycle through a process called autophagy. But the ketones prevent that from being your muscle. So other types of lean tissue that it can recycle would be your skin. It could be dead cells. It could be damaged cells. So anything that it can find, it can recycle. And that's a good thing for me because with some of the weight I've lost, I do have a bit of loose skin here and there. So this process of autophagy, of the body recycling the parts, that it needs, I don't have to worry as long as, I'm in the state of ketosis, where I'm, creating these ketones and I have them in my blood, that I never have to worry that my muscles are going to suffer, if I don't eat, right? It's going to be this lean tissue like the loose skin, that'll be recovered, and that's probably a good thing, right? So hunger is something that we have to relearn as we go through this process of healing our bodies, right? Because we've got so much going on, uh, so many years of damage, to undo. So it's not going to happen right away, but you are going to start to realize more and more that you're not as hungry as you thought you were. I had a friend tell me one time, when it's time to eat and there's food in front of me, to take a moment and really ask myself, am I hungry, or is this something else? If it's because I'm bored, if there's some emotional thing, if the answer is just, well, it's time to eat, those aren't the right answers. If the answer isn't, I'm hungry, then I really shouldn't be eating. So that's a hard one in our day and age, right? I mean, if it's 12 and everybody else in the office is going for lunch, or you're in a retail job or something, and they say, well, it's time for your lunch break, and you got 30 minutes, you've got another like 4 or 5 hours left, before you're done, but you're not hungry, and you don't know if you're going to be hungry later, your mind starts to play with you. Like I said, if you're making the ketones, you've got plenty of fuel on board. You never have to worry about running out of energy. So if you're not hungry, there's really no need to eat. A couple other things that the friend told me about, which I really liked, is like halfway through the meal, take a little break, and then ask yourself the question again, am I still hungry? Because quite often, we, fill up our plates, with our eyes, and our eyes are bigger than our stomachs, right? So it's a good idea to take that step back and give yourself permission to say, no, I'm done, and not have to finish your plate. That was another hard lesson for me to learn. I grew up always, with that you've got to clean your plate mentality. And I'd still end up doing that more times than not, and even though I'm not really hungry. Some of that's also because I eat too fast, and I can shovel down a whole lot of food in a short amount of time, long before the hormones have a chance to regulate. So for me personally, I have to take those pauses, like halfway through the meal, just to give my body a chance to catch up. It's a good thing to do once in a while. And something, I still need to do is to just slow down. Enjoy the food, enjoy the company. And if I'm not hungry and I'm in company, there's no reason why I have to eat. I can just get water or a drink, and visit. And I've been working at that lately, and it's been okay. People have responded well and have not been uncomfortable because I'm not eating. We're able to still enjoy the time. So giving myself permission to do these things has been kind of a good learning for me. So I appreciate that guidance. Another thing that friend mentioned which is also good as you're going into eating, is to ask yourself, what level of satisfaction am I looking to get from this? And then ask yourself after the meal, was I as satisfied as I expected? Because that teaches you a whole new level of things about yourself and things about the food that you eat and your expectations for that food, right? Sometimes I think there are, three things about this. You've got your hunger, you have your feeling of being full, but then you have the emotional sense of satisfaction of the food. And keeping those three things in balance is really, really difficult. At least it is for me. Emotionally, I'm really enjoying my food, and I put probably too much emotional emphasis on what I eat in a lot of cases. Um, it's part of who we are and our society and culture. So it's something that's difficult to break. But the more I learn about food, the more I learn about nutrition and what it does for me, and the more I experiment with the foods, the more I give myself permissions to say no to things, the better it ends up being. So that's kind of where I am on hunger and with the hormones leptin and ghrelin. If you need me to go into more detail, I can do some more research on that and get into it deeper in another video. But I did want to spend some time on the second question today, which is somewhat related, and that is, what can we eat? What would a typical week look like? And you've heard me say, I think, a lot of times already, is that I have, that it's always depends on your goals, on what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, how much you're going to eat. So coming up with a meal plan specifically can be difficult. But for me, I can tell you how I like to eat. And in particular, when I first started on the ketogenic diet, what seemed to work for me. Now, I will tell you this. I am a boring person. I do not mind eating the same thing over and over and over again if I'm getting results from it. I find the results to be more encouraging than the pleasure from the food, right? So you start out the day with breakfast, right? That one was easy. I would have my coffee. My coffee would have some sort of coconut oil or MCT oil, which is medium chain triglycerides. That's just coconut oil that's been distilled down to the specific fats that are best for us. MCT oils don't break down or cannot be converted back into fat by our bodies. So they're used directly for energy. So it's good for your brain, it's good for your body, it's just a quick source of energy. So that's why the coconut is so good, the coconut oil. I personally buy MCT oil powder because I like the taste and it adds a creaminess to my coffee. You can do this with tea. You can do it, other ways, but I prefer coffee. And I put probably 2 tablespoons of butter in it. And I use Pure brand stevia that has, I think, erythritol mixed with the stevia. As long as it doesn't have the dextrin or maltodextrin, it's okay. So I mix that in the coffee and I blend it up. I actually use a blender bottle. It has a little ball in it. It's like a wire whisk kind of ball, and I just shake it up, and that melts the butter and it froths it up, and a lot of times that'll be my breakfast. Um, that's changed a little bit now that I've started going to the gym, just because you know my understanding is you should eat some protein soon after working out to help with the recovery. So I've been having a low carb protein shake in the morning along with the coffee. But I wasn't doing that for a long time because I wasn't working out for a long time. You don't have to lose weight. You might want to because you suddenly have a lot more energy, but you don't have to. Um, so the coffee would cover me well into late lunchtime, no problem. For me, lunch, my preference was chicken wings. The garlic parmesan wings from OIP, medium wings from Pudgy's. Those are all good. And I'd eat like half an order for lunch one day and half an order for lunch the next day, and I'd be good. Then, that's really all I needed for lunch. Although I can make chicken salad, I can make tuna salad, I could, let's see, what else? Hard-boiled eggs. Um, I'd also do steaks sometimes. I would do other things. Mostly, meats while I'm home. Otherwise, all right. So sometimes, if I'm at work, um, from the grill, I'll get something like a cheesesteak, but with no bun. Just, meat and cheese and some hot sauce or mayonnaise. Um, yeah. In a pinch, I'll get a salad, but I tend to be more carnivore than not. I prefer having meat as the main part of my meal, and I'll eat vegetables if they're there. Like if my meal comes with a salad, I'll eat the salad. But I usually eat that after, if I can. Um, so that's kind of it for the lunches, right? Dinners, if I've eaten enough at breakfast and lunch, sometimes I'll skip dinner just because I don't feel the need. But yet I will go, you know, and have dinner a lot of times. I like burgers without buns. You can use lettuce to wrap up the burger and eat it that way if you don't want to use a fork and knife. Um, I like meatloaf. You can make meatloaf without breadcrumbs. You can put in almond flour or coconut flour to bind it instead. Tops, our local store, sells a sugar-free barbecue sauce that is really good on the meats. I'll cook sausages. I'll cook chicken breasts, and I'll put Alfredo sauce on the chicken breasts. Alfredo sauce usually is a pretty good, high fat, and low carb sauce. One of the things I do like too, although I don't do it very often, is what's called a fathead pizza. So you take cream cheese and mozzarella cheese and you put them in a bowl and microwave them till they're smooth, and mix them up. Add some almond flour, add some Italian seasoning, add an egg, mix it all up together, and then spread it thin on parchment paper. It must be parchment paper. If you try and put it on anything else, it'll stick. But you put it in the oven for like 10 minutes until it starts to brown. Then you put your marinara sauce, your toppings, and the rest of your mozzarella cheese on top, and then put that in and let it cook until the cheese melts. And you take it out, slice it up, and I find that to be really, really good pizza. Although I tend to overeat when I do that. Because, like I said, I eat fast. And when I eat fast, I can eat a lot. Sometimes I get my satisfaction, my emotional satisfaction from the volume of food as opposed to the quality of food. So that's something I know about myself and something that I'm working on. But so this fathead pizza can be really, really good. Um, if you have problems with dairy, that's going to be tricky, right? Sometimes we'll do breakfast for dinner, so eggs, sausage, bacon, um, that'll be good. One of the things I used to do for lunch, and I haven't done this in a while, and maybe I'll do that again this summer when the tomatoes are in season. But if you take romaine lettuce, and you have cooked up the bacon, you can spread some mayonnaise on the romaine lettuce, put the bacon down and then the tomato, kind of wrap it up, and have, BLTs without the bread. And that's been really, really good. I've enjoyed that quite a bit. Oh, let me see. So steaks, sausages, hamburgers, meatloaf, eggs, bacon, pancakes. You can make pancakes with coconut flour. Uh, you can also make it with cream cheese added to it as well, and heavy cream, and make really, really good pancakes that are low carb and gluten free, and do really well. We had those this morning for breakfast. They were really good. I just decided, I had wanted pancakes and hadn't had them in a while. I think because we went to Bob Evans for dinner last night, and one of the things I used to get there a lot was their pancakes. And so, again, there's an emotional tie that I have with certain kinds of food that stick with me. Uh, but there are keto versions of them that we can still enjoy. And if you do have that emotional attachment to food, don't worry. There are alternatives that you can find. The internet is full of them. And if you need help, just see me and ask me, and I can help point you to lots of different places, lots of different cookbooks, ones that are on Amazon, or ones that are online. There's a lot of different choices. There's things you can do in the crock pot. There's things you can do in the oven, on a stove. There can be cookies, there can be cakes, there can be breads. There are breads that you can make that are still low carb and gluten free and fit well with the diet. So it's not really so much of what do I have to give up or what can't I have anymore, because once you get that can't mentality, you start kind of feeling like a victim, right? There's a lot you can have. There's a lot of alternatives. And if you can't find an alternative for something that you want, let's see if we can find it together, right? I know I've seen keto cinnamon buns out there. I've seen keto enchiladas, keto pizzas, keto breads and sandwiches, all kinds of things. Some of them you can buy, or order. Um, I have to say, though, some of the pizzas that we've ordered, haven't really liked as much. Um, So, you have to make your own decisions on those. I'm not going to get brand names out on those, in case there are people out there that do enjoy them, and I don't want to take away from their business because of, you know, my poor experience. I mean, we're all unique individuals. We're not all gonna like exactly the same thing. So, you might like it better than I did. But I'm starting to see more and more stuff showing up in the stores. I've started seeing things at Walmart, things at Wegmans. Uh, Low carb is becoming known and it's becoming profitable. And the more profitable it becomes, the more people buy the low carb stuff, the more choices we're going to have even at the grocery store. So it's an exciting time that we're in. And it's good to know that people are paying attention and they're willing, to take a gamble on us. Well, I hope that helped. If you do have more questions, let me know, and I'll answer them in the next episode. For now, this is Chris, Mojo Sound at Twin Tiers Keto. See you next time.